I'm Mahesh Tirumkudulu. I'm a faculty in the chemical engineering department. I'm currently also the head of the department, and I work in the area of fluid mechanics and colloids and interfaces. Well, like most students who come to IIT, uh, I was very unsure of which branch to actually pick. At that time, as of now, it really gets decided by the JE rank. But having said that, I was influenced by quite a few things. One is that I used to love fluid mechanics. I like to understand flows, especially seeing aeroplanes fly and so on. And that always used to intrigue me. And around my 10th or 11th standard, I remember reading a book on chaos. At that time, it used to be a very popular book by James Gleick. And there's a lot of fluid mechanics there, at least for a general reader, so that intrigued me also. And so when I had to decide on a branch, I wanted to do fluid mechanics, at least something to do with flows of liquids or gas, air, gases. And so there was aeronautical engineering, aerospace engineering, mechanical engineering, chemical engineering. And so given all of these at that time, chemical engineering was one of the most versatile of all branches. And so then I decided to go for chemical engineering. The transition has been great, but I should tell this thing to all the students, chemistry students especially. When I was a student, I never thought I'll become a prof. Because as a student, you only see a very small part of what a professor does, what a faculty does. You would see us come to the class, teach a few hours a week or so, and then that's about it. And then you'll see us probably during the exams, we correct your exam sheets or your homeworks, and there's some interaction. But there's a lot more that goes on in the life of a faculty, the professional career. You spend a lot of time doing research, and that's really excites me, and that's what excites all faculty members in the department. You get the freedom to think of new ideas, to implement those ideas, and there is total freedom, as I said, here in IIT Bombay especially, and you get some very good students to work with. And so as a student, I didn't think that is good, that I'll ever become a prof. But then when I went and did my PhD, I realized how exciting it is to be researching in the area of chemical engineering. And therefore, I continued to work in fluid mechanics, which is what I really liked from the start. And so when I returned back here, IIT Bombay being one of the best premier institutions, I decided to join IIT Bombay. And it's been a great journey so far. Right. So in my class of 44, I think almost 25 of us went to the US, and almost I think 15 or 16 of us did PhDs in those days. Of course, those have changed now. And so I always like to do science and engineering. So after my undergrad, I joined at that time what was known as a Hindustan Unilever Limited as a management trainee for a year. And very quickly I realized that that is not what I wanted to do, because it was more of man management, managing things, rather than coming up with original thought in science or engineering. And so I had already applied to various universities. So as soon as I got a scholarship in a good place, I left. And I should also tell you that that was a very difficult phase when I was leaving the company, because the salary was very good. It was supposedly a day one company at that time. And it was known, I always want to return back, that if I were to come back with a PhD, my salary was not going to be anywhere close to that. But I think at that time, my parents asked me as to what I really like to do. And it was very clear that it's science and engineering. But my peer group was very surprised that I was taking a decision like that. And I don't think I've regretted it, because every single day, just not me, all my colleagues, we come to the department, we're always excited because there's always something new going on in our lab. and I cannot think of many professions where you can actually say that. And I've been here 20 years, and I think I can go on for another 20 years like this. Yeah, so yeah, I was quite active in sports, and so one of the claim to fame of my particular batch in my hostel, I was in Ganga hostel. Instead of numbers there, we have names to hostels. I was in the Ganga hostel. Our claim to fame for our batch is that all 4 years we won the sports cup, or it's called the Schroeter Cup, and so we won the institute championship for all 4 years. So in terms of extracurricular activities with sports, and I used to play quite a few things. I used to play table tennis for my hostel. I used to play soccer for my hostel, hockey, and cricket. And for the institute, I played for the IIT. I used to play hockey. So I don't remember a single afternoon after coming back from lab or so at 4 o'clock. I would have our tiffin or whatever, and that I would be on the ground playing or something or the other. So there were times when I used to yearn to have a free evening. But those were very nice days. So that's what it was. Since sports has been an integral part of my life, so I've been active. Many other colleagues in the department are also active. So I used to run the half marathon about 5-7 years back. I ran for about 5 years and I stopped because it was becoming too much physically. So I don't do that. But I've played tennis for the last 20-25 years. I continue to do that. And just like the inter-IIT sports for students there, I don't know if you know, there's an inter-IIT sports for staff. Yeah. So I continue to participate there, just to keep myself active. Yeah, it's changed quite a bit, I should say. Since I joined here as a faculty, I can tell you it's changed a bit. The students are as smart as they were, so I don't think that's a difference, but their focus is completely shifted. So when I joined, I remember in 2003-2004, the first course that I taught was fluid mechanics course with Professor Devang Khakkar. And I remember that at that time I would take a lot of time to prepare for my classes because the students were very, very interested in the courses. So you go wrong somewhere, even a little bit on the blackboard, and they'll pounce on you. So you had to be very careful. But over the years, I've seen that students are as smart as they have always been, but their focus has changed. Their focus is no longer in core chemical engineering. And so it's much easier to teach now. You can make mistakes and get away, unfortunately. Yeah. So that is one of the, I should say, concerns that we as a department have is that how do we get the interest back of the students in chemical engineering. I know that there are issues with placement, the salaries not being as high, and then there are many areas now, many options that students have, especially with these booming areas of AI and ML where everyone seems to be having a focus. They want to go into those areas. So that is something that we are seriously considering, how to bring back the focus of students into chemical engineering. I think the institute also recognizes that with the changing times, we also have to change both our curriculum and also the way we teach. And so the curriculum has been changed. As you know, in the new curriculum, students do only about 10 to 11 core courses, and then they do some 4 or 5 elective courses in the department. The rest of the courses they do from outside the department. So you have a major, but then you can do a minor, you have an interdepartmental minor, and so on and so forth. And so the idea is to give a wide array of courses, choices to the students so that they can pursue their interests. Right, so I took over only in May of 2023. Yeah. So I've not been in this position for very long. It has been quite exciting. It has been also very, very hectic. As soon as I took over, I was told that there's going to be a department review. There's a department review that happens every 5 to 10 years, where there are external reviewers who come to the department. They interact with faculty, they have interacted with the students, UG, PG students, they interact with the staff and so on. And then you have to prepare a report, make a presentation to them. And so that was quite an experience, but it was very good to be doing that at the beginning of my term, because it gave me a very good overview, both breadth and depth, about the various activities of the department and so on. Other than that, there are lots of other activities that are going on that department that the head has to be involved in. There is this other faculty recruitment, which is very important. If you want to be a very good department, it all depends on the people who are there in the department. So you want to recruit the very best of the faculty members. Similarly, the staff, you want to have the best staff in the department and so on. And then, so these are the activities. On a daily basis, when I come in, almost all the paperwork in the department goes through the head. And so I have to look at the various documents, whether there is communication to the main building or any other part of the institute, or communication that I get from the institute to be conveyed to the department. I look at that. Various emails that have to be sent. The finances of the department has to be looked in. The undergraduate activities or issues related to undergraduates, postgraduate, there are committees for that, faculty recruitment and so on. There are committees, so we have to look into that. So it's quite a busy activity, or a position of responsibility, as you would call it.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just me. When I took over, there were quite a few colleagues that I discussed about the various initiatives that we should take up. And so there are many, at least quite a few in mind that we have. But one initiative I think my colleagues and I agreed on is to look into the declining interest of undergraduate students, especially in chemical engineering. What can we do to get their interest back? I think that is one thing. Because you see the way the world is changing, especially if you look around, sustainability is extremely important, right? That is one. The energy is very, very important. Water, resources, these are extremely important areas. And the key profession that will make an impact in all these areas is going to be chemical engineering. And I think, so we have to somehow convince our students that, this is a very important profession. Well, AI/ML is also important, and non-core areas is also important. Many areas where there will soon be an urgent need for good chemical engineers. And so that is something that we want to do. But what we also want to do is to get good chemical engineering companies to come to campus for placement. I think that is going to make a big difference. And we already are working on that. So we want the very top chemical companies to come to the department. And these are not just Indian chemical companies. We are actually approaching multinational chemical companies, asking them to come to the department and hire our students. So that is one initiative that we really want to start. Well, as I was telling you, I don't think I manage at all. So you should ask my research students about how less time now I'm spending with them. So they must be cursing me for that, I'm sure. So I think one has to learn how to manage time, and it is not something that you learn in one day. And so I try and keep some time for my head's activities. Try and spend about half a day. It really takes half a day. Sometimes it takes a full day, but the remaining half of the day I try and focus on my research, discussing research with my research students, reviewing their manuscripts and so on and so forth. We do that. Luckily for me, I teach alternate semesters. So last semester when I was teaching and I just took up headship and the department review was there and the faculty recruitment was going on, it was truly a roller coaster ride. This semester, after all that experience and because I'm not teaching a course, it's much more comfortable, so I'm able to manage that. So I think we all learn how to manage our time and trying to do my best. There are two things I want to kind of mention to students. The first thing is, um, this is the time when you should try and experiment. I mean, try out different things. IIT Bombay is probably one of the best research and teaching institutes you'll get in India. And while you're here, while you should continue your extracurricular activities, you should also try and talk to the faculty members, find out about the research, what lies ahead in chemical engineering, what is the future of chemical engineering, how can you contribute to chemical engineering if you were to actually join the profession, and so on. And try and take some time out to spend time in the research labs of the faculty members. So that's one thing that I will suggest to students, undergraduate students especially. The second thing is that it is okay to be confused about what you want to do after 4 years. I think this is something that I cannot emphasize enough, as I say. That when I was finishing up after 4 years, even I was not sure whether I should go into do a PhD or should I take up a job and so on. And so my suggestion to students has always been that, okay, it's completely normal to be confused at the end of 4 years. But then pick up something which you think is maybe slightly better than your second choice. Whatever is your first choice, take that up. Try it for a year or two. If you don't like it, then you switch. That's exactly what I did. I worked for 1 year and it was very clear to me that's not where I wanted to be. And I switched and I never regretted. And now I'm 50, and that was 1 year when I was 21, 22. It didn't matter, but it taught me a lot. That told me that that's not where I wanted to be. I wanted to be somewhere else. And that's why that is very important. So students that I meet nowadays especially seem to be under a lot of stress. And life is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And so I think they need to take that in and just be a little more relaxed and not be stressed up about every small thing. The third thing is, if students fail in some things, they take it to heart a lot. And again, I want to say that it's temporary, isn't it? And I think one should try and learn from it and move on. So there are lots of students who come who kind of have mental health issues. That has increased, I don't know, probably after the COVID. And they are very, very stressed, and I don't see any reason to be so stressed. I think if you were to attend all our classes and do other homeworks, it's quite straightforward to get a good grade. So I don't see any reason why. So I think that I want students to relax more, get into sports or something which was good for health, both mental and physical health. So maybe these are the few suggestions I can